Hello everyone, how are you? Thank you so much for joining me. This is the Taryn Lamb Show. We are into season number 8. This is episode 2 of season number 8. Thank you so much for joining me. Of course, I truly appreciate it. Hi Stacy, what's up Sans? So thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Make sure you are going to my YouTube, because all these are housed on YouTube now. Make sure you're going to my YouTube. I am Taryn Lamb, and subscribing to my YouTube channel. That's one of my goals for 2023, is to get this on YouTube or as well. And then you can also go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe. Subscribe via podcast as well. Got to get my words together because I talk so fast. So make sure you're liking, following, sharing, and subscribing. Make sure you're following this page. And if you have a story, I would love to have you on the show. We are booking into April of this year, so please get in contact with me. If you know someone who has a story, I would love to have them on the show. This show is about positivity. It's about love. It's about connecting. It's about all those things. I started this during COVID, and we've been going strong ever since, and it's all by word of mouth and all by volunteer. So everyone that comes on the show is volunteering their own time. Hi, Miss Scott. How are you? Happy birthday, by the way. I think a belated birthday is in order for you, I believe, according to social. So happy birthday. So, and I love your travels too, by the way. I do keep up with you because I live vicariously through your travels and your daughter-in-law. Okay, so back in action. So this is the Taryn Lamb Show. Thank you so much for joining me. Make sure you're liking, following, sharing, subscribing. I truly appreciate it. You're going to YouTube, you're subscribing to the channel, you're checking out my cats there on YouTube, and you're going to the podcast. And then if you have a story, I would love to have you on the show. Like I said, I've been going strong for goodness, over 100 episodes now, and it's all by word of mouth and all by people like yourself. So please make sure you get in contact with me. I would love to have you on the show. So let me bring my guest in here. Are you there? Let's see. You should be popping up. There you are. You're coming. Hello.
Hi. How you doing?
How are you?
I'm doing well. I can't complain. How are you?
Good. Same. Doing well. Can't complain. Living the dream.
Living the dream. Exactly. We're here.
Living the dream. Trying not to freeze, you know?
Oh, yeah, definitely. We've gotten lucky here. It's a little bit warmer, so not as bad, but I'm sure it's going to get colder soon.
Yeah. It's just on its way for all of us, no matter where you are, except for, you know, the West Coast people.
Oh, yeah.
I'm spoiled. So goodness, I was thinking about what thing we want to hone in on. So I'm already saying to this, we're going to have you back, because I know there's so many things, as you know, we've been talking just via text and stuff like that. And then as I've been watching some of the things you do on your social, so there's so many different facets to you. But before we get started, I just want people, I'm going to read your bio. I'm going to read it from what you sent me, because I want to make sure that people that are just going to listen to this later, whether they listen on podcast or listen and watch on YouTube, that they really get the depths of all the different things you do. And then we're going to kind of, you know, figure out where our spirits lead us to which one we're going to talk about. So this is Dr. Alicia Shelley. She's a board certified in internal medicine diplomat of the American Board of Obesity. She's been in practice since 2013. She herself hosts a weekly podcast and YouTube channel entitled Back on Track, Achieving Healthy Weight Loss, where she discusses how to get and stay on track with your weight loss journey. She is a fitness enthusiast and has done 6 marathons and 2 Ironmans. She's also the medical director for a nonprofit, Hope Missions 360, which provides medical dental care to underserved communities, both locally and in the Caribbean. So you are like all about it. Like you are all about it. I mean, it's just, I was saying to you, man, like when I read it and I was like seeing your pictures and then stalking you on social media, you know, I'm like, wow, because you help everyone, and then you're doing some amazing things on your own. So I really just, I guess I want to talk, I want to talk about, let's see, how do I say this? My brain feels like we should talk about internal medicine and staying healthy, but my heart is like, tell me about those Ironmans.
Maybe we could do both, right? We could do both. So,
oh man, that's incredible.
yeah, so I've done 2 Ironman halves. I'm training for my first full Ironman in October, and so it's been a lifelong thing because I'm not necessarily athletic. Like growing up, they had me on the basketball team literally just to block. Like I just had my hands held up. That's all I did. I didn't shoot. I didn't dribble. Like I just had 2 left feet, and so I started actually running in 2016. And I kept trying to challenge myself with a half marathon, a 10 miler. And then I was like, let's just go ahead and do it, a full marathon. And then I realized I fell in love with it. And I got to the Ironman. I decided to do Ironman because in my mind, I was like, I could never do that. But when I saw the gentleman, his name is Chris, who had Down syndrome, completed an Ironman. And he was training. I was like, I can train and still do it. And so this is year 2 of triathlon training. And I'm like, October 23rd, we're going to be ready to do the full Ironman. So I'm going to be doing Ironman Sacramento as well.
So did you take some of those things that you tell your patients and kind of implement them in your own, regimen? Because I'm sure every day you tell patients, do this, don't do that, do this, don't do that. And then you're like, oh man, I got to stay committed to my own, do this, don't do that. And I see you on social, you're like, ran 90 miles today, ran 50 miles, so how did you stay, committed to that goal? As like I said, I'm sure you tell your patients every day to stay committed to their goal because you're also telling them, how to achieve their own journey.
Exactly. So the funny thing is that when I tell people these things, I've lived it. Like I get it. I sometimes don't want to go exercising. I don't want to be eating right. I want to have whatever is out there, the sodas, all the things. And so I struggle with that as well. But the one thing that's helped me, and I share this with my patients, is having that why. Why does it mean that important to you? Just recently, like last Friday, I was supposed to go swimming. And out of all the 3 disciplines of Ironman, for those who aren't aware, we have swimming, biking, and cycling. And so all of those 3 disciplines, swimming is the one I don't like. And I don't mind swimming in like a lake, in a body of water. But to swim in a pool going back and forth is so boring for me. And so sometimes it's hard for me to want to get there and train. And so I was talking to a friend. I was like, man, I need to get really motivated to go swimming because I don't want to do it. I'm making up excuses. I'm like, I think somebody said it was going to snow today. Maybe I should just go home. I just go swimming.
Don't in the pool.
Yeah. Like, oh, it's lightning outside. I shouldn't go swimming. Like, I just have all the excuses. And so the lady was like, just remember your why. And I was like, that's what I tell my patients. And so I was sitting there. I was working out, but I remembered why I wanted to do this. I want to hear the guy, when I go across that finish, say, you are an Ironman. Like that's what was like in my mind. I was like, yes, that's what I want to hear him say. I need to make this as my phone, like ringtone and everything, because this is what I want to hear him say. And it motivated me that I went swimming, not only Friday night, but Saturday and today. So I was like, I've made all my swimming commitments. But, a lot of times you don't feel like doing it.
Yeah.
But when you go back to your why, you go back to the reason why you're doing it, it makes it a lot easier to keep moving forward.
Yeah, I think that, that has to be a challenge. You talk about the podcast and we have how to get on track and stay on track, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes to stay on, we can get there, but then can we stay there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the hardest part, I would say.
Now, what about some of the things that, you found as your patients do, you found as maybe obstacles to that? I mean, staying on track is one, but, I think about time. I think about, like you said, snow. I mean, we joke about it, but, what are some of the things that, have been in your way that came along? Because October 23rd is going to be here. Like, So what
Oh,
are some of the things that have came in your way so far?
yeah. Yeah, so definitely. So I actually started training for my Ironman October 2021. And so, and I was doing the New York Marathon, and then I kind of went into triathlon training. So one of the biggest obstacles, I wasn't a bike rider either before starting this journey. And so I had to learn how to ride a bike. Now one would think, oh, it's so easy, you just pick it up. Remember as a kid? Yeah, I had a totally different bike as a kid. Like, I don't know what kind of bike I had. It's not this road bike that I have now. The road
Right.
bike, for those who aren't aware, you have to kind of clip into the bike in order to be more efficient. So, like, you and the bike are one, and you guys are moving fast, fast paced, going like high speeds. And it helps you to be, number one, you're like, you're moving through the air. So you're cutting the air properly, and you're just moving faster. But the whole thing for me, like was just clipping in and clipping out of the bike. Like that was treacherous. I felt like I was gonna die. I'm just gonna tell you, I fell so many times.
So you're like,
clipping in and
you're like,
clipping out.
I passed my boards, but I can't get in and out of this bike.
Exactly. I can't get it out of this bike. I was afraid every time I stopped. I'd be like, I saw this child run in the middle of the road. I was like, grab your children. We may not make it. I was like, please grab your child. I do not want to hit a child, but I may have to die. But so it took me a while. I worked with my coach. We started off like I literally was afraid to clip in, but we started off slow. We started off with 1 foot clipped in. That went okay. Once I was doing well with that, we started with the next one. But there were times that I was like, this may not be worth it. I'm just gonna stop. But because I kept going with it and kept learning, by the time I had, rode like my hundreds, you have to ride like 100. So let me just paraphrase this. For the Ironman, the mileage is you swim 2.4 miles, you bike 116 miles or 112 miles, and then you run 26 miles. So you have to do a century ride or 100-mile ride in preparation for this. And so I did that ride, but by the time I got there, I was a pro. I was clipping in, clipping out. Like, I feel better with doing it. Now, do I get a little nervous? Yes, but I'm so much better because I overcame that obstacle and I kept going forward. The one thing I didn't mention, the reason why this is a 2-year journey was because I actually did do the Ironman Chattanooga, or I attempted is what I like to say. But when I swam really well, but when I got to the bike, I had 2 flat tires in the same tire during this race, one at mile 46 and one at mile 79. And that second tire flat, I didn't have an extra spare tube. And so it just I was basically did not finish because I didn't have the appropriate materials to move forward. So, and that was a big, big obstacle because I had been working all year for this. And then to have something that was not due to me physically, it wasn't like my body gave out on me. It was my equipment, my bike did. And so that was hard. That was really hard. And it really took me a good couple months kind of to get over that and to kind of keep moving forward and have that same fervor. Because at one point afterward, I was just like, not only am I tired, I'm like, can I do this for another year? So it was kind of difficult, but that was another big obstacle I overcame.
Yeah, I think that must have been a total mental game, right? Like, totally it wasn't, like you said, anything that you could have per se done differently. And then, I think to get back in the saddle is you had to get over that hurdle of I got to do this again. Or maybe you were like, you know what, I'm going to do this again because I'm not going to let this defeat me, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the funny thing is I kind of went back and forth between those mindsets. When I got done with like the bike, I still had a lot of energy. Like I was like, let's go. And then I was like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna get faster. But then after a couple of weeks, I take some time off. It just kind of got easier not to do it, not to practice, not to swim. And so the one thing I did was I did do an Ironman half again in December, just to kind of keep myself going and kind of keep motivated. And so my goal is to kind of keep moving forward, even though it's not necessarily a full Ironman that I did in December. It still was enough to kind of keep me still in the training form. So now it's just trying to keep moving forward. And like you said, be consistent. Be consistent.
I know. And it's so challenging. So how do you think this correlates, or this gives you motivation in what you do for a living?
So the funny thing is, I learned a lot of things, a lot of just character building traits just with doing an Ironman. The first one I would say that I learned is just believing that you can do it. A lot of times we say to ourselves, "Oh, I can never do that. Oh, I can never do that." But is it really true? Yes, I won't be able to dunk, but who really needs to dunk? Unless you're making money off that. I'm not. But like certain things in my business, I may have some fear about like, oh, I'm going to do this webinar and no one's going to show up. Or if I implement this in my business, no one's, it's not going to work out. And I don't know that until I do it. So I need to believe and have faith. And then along with working, with like, I like how Elrod says, he's like unwavering faith plus, I forgot, it's so much effort, like increased effort. And so that's kind of what I took away from this Ironman journey, that first of all, you have to believe. Secondly, you have to focus on the small steps that get you to your goals. Because I wasn't able to ride 100 miles overnight. It took time and time for me to build up on that so that I'm able to kind of get to that 100. And I see myself when I first started with just riding like 10 miles was like, oh my gosh. And now I'm riding 100 miles, So it really makes a huge difference. So focusing on the small goals will help me reach my ultimate goal was the second thing I learned. And the third thing I learned was, make sure you have accountability. Make sure you have people who can help you stay accountable. This is what I had with my coach. I had not only my swim coach, my triathlon coach, my personal trainer who helped. Mm-hmm.
So hey, Renee, by the way, so this is the Taryn Lamb Show, guys. We are talking to Dr. Alicia Shelley. She has so many things to talk about, but I steered her in the way of the Ironman because I wanted to learn about her journey. And I've been keeping up with her on social, and she has this journey to Ironman, social media. She has other things she does on her social media, but that's the one I'm so just enamored by. So this is the Taryn Lamb Show, season 8, episode number 2. Make sure you're liking, following, sharing, subscribing. And if you would like to be on the show or know someone that should be on the show, please let me know. We are into our, like I said, 8th season, 3rd year. We have people here every Tuesday just to share their stories, just like Dr. Shelley is. So Dr. Shelley, I heard you said something, and I always have this saying, or I don't know where I got it. I think I got it from church, but it says, faith without works is like a song that doesn't sing. So it's like what you were just saying, right? It's like you have to believe, and then you have to put some effort to it in order to make it all kind of come together, right?
Yes.
And I think that's so important because, and to your point, it doesn't have to be these monumental leaps every single day. It can be those little persistent leaps, or what I don't even know if you call them leap steps.
Yeah.
And every day to get you, towards your goal, right?
Yeah, definitely. That's what I found. It's the small things. It's just being consistent with the small things.
And again, I think that correlates back to, if for those who are listening to this and didn't hear the beginning, Dr. Shelley is also an internal medicine physician. So I think that she probably has her clients or patients tell them, it's a small things sometimes, right? It's those little small lifestyle changes. And maybe that's something that you talk to them about, that they can change to make a difference in their health.
Oh yeah, that's definitely something I reiterate, because sometimes it can be overwhelming making lifestyle changes. So if you kind of start with one thing, whether it's like, hey, I'm going to drink more water today, or the next month you go, oh, hey, I'm going to add more vegetables today. It makes it so much easier. Before you know it, you not only have you lost weight, but you feel better because these small changes that you made in your lifestyle are easy, they're measurable, they're realistic, and you're able to maintain it and continue it down the line. So definitely it's important to kind of focus on the baby steps or on the small steps that kind of get you to your goal.
You mentioned you have a coach. I did hear that. So who holds you accountable?
Oh yes. So I'm with the Atlanta Triathlon Club. I signed up for, and so I have a coach. Her name's Nicole, and she helps keeps me accountable. Like, she may not have got on me, but I knew I wasn't swimming properly in these last months. And so, it's helpful because even though I know I'm not doing the proper, I didn't like complete the training that she gave me, I know that she's watching. And so it helps me to be like, okay, you need to get on it. Like, it may be 11 o'clock at night, but you need to go finish your 1 hour Peloton. I have a Peloton, so I may do like a bike ride at home or get on the treadmill late at night before I go to bed because I'm trying to get it in. And so she helps me, keeps me accountable. She encourages me. She's the best coach. Like, sometimes I'm like, you really think I can do it? And she's like, yeah. So it's good to have a coach. I also have a swim coach too to help me with my form. Because like I said, I don't like to swim. And so I need that accountability to kind of help, to kind of show up. She's going to be there. I'll be there.
Right.
And then also I have a personal trainer to help me with the strength training.
Okay.
So,
a few people hold you accountable, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. They all hold me accountable so to make sure I show up.
So funny. This whole Peloton thing, I want to get something at home too. And I was deciding, like, should I get a Peloton? Should I not? And then I was like, should I get a used Peloton? Then I'm like, you know what? I'm just hoping one just lands in my lap one day. So I don't know how that's going to work, but.
It may, because the funny thing, I like Peloton because not only do you have a bike, but if you get the newer one, you can actually do like the yoga and all that kind of stuff with it. So you have a little bit more options, but you never know because not everybody, like, they may buy it, maybe like, oh, I don't want it. And then you can get like a really brand new, newly used one that just will land right there.
That's what I'm hoping. I'm like, okay, it's just going to land in my lap one day. But it sounds like you are the type of person to really just hone in on a goal and, you're going to get to it because you didn't let that one thing that could have, I always think about those things that could have stopped me, but I'm not going to let them, right? I'm not going to let that stop me. So tell me really quick, we have 8 minutes left, about some of the other things you do, the philanthropic things, because I know you do a lot with the underserved community, and I want you to share just a little bit about your nonprofit and kind of what that does and how the work you put in there.
Oh, yes. I'm the medical director of Hope Missions 360, where we actually go to the Caribbean and actually provide medical services to the underserved. Not only medical, but dental. We bring in our own medication so we can give to that population. Because although they may have universal health care in some of the Caribbean cultures, sometimes it's hard to afford the medication because you're paying out of pocket. So it's nice that we can come in and be able to, and this is free of charge. They're not paying for this, to be able to donate that medication, see them, give them a good look over, listen to their lungs, an exam, and then prescribe your medication is helpful too. Also, the one thing that we also do is that in our local Atlanta area, we have a refugee community. Mm-hmm. And so we've been serving them as well during the year, providing meals, providing shoes, providing a toy giveaway. We had a holiday toy giveaway with Arby's, who was able to give like over 400 toys to this community. So it's a blessing to be able to give. I mean, I'm a doctor, so yes, I see people on a daily basis, but it's different to be able to donate your time to people who may not be able to afford to go to the doctor or have insurance to go to the doctor, and just be able to give back. So that's one of the things I truly enjoy doing, giving back to others.
So how do you find time? Because a lot of people say all these things, right? I don't have time. How do you find time? Because I hear that all the time. I don't have time. I don't have to give back 190 miles and go to work all in one day.
Man, so I can't say it's easy. The funny thing is you're never going to find time. You just have to make time. And so I have the full focus planner where, in the morning or either the day or the night before, I'll look to see what are my 3 goals that I'm trying to achieve today. Usually one of them is like finish work. The other one is training, and then that third one may be part of the business or whatever personal thing I need to do, and I just focus on getting those in. Some days it may not work out, but at least if I try one of the three, I feel that I've accomplished it. And when I talk about my training for the Ironman, there may be something I may miss, but that's okay. I just kind of keep moving forward and we'll hit it the next day. So I give myself grace. Sometimes I do feel guilty. I'm not gonna, but I really try to give myself grace and kind of keep, just keep staying positive with it. Because you can really like, oh, I missed this workout, or oh, I didn't finish this work project. And you can feel down on yourself. But if you just kind of keep moving forward, it makes it so much easier.
So, hi, Philip. How are you? Hey, guys, this is the Taryn Lamb Show, season 8, episode number 2. We're talking to Dr. Alicia Shelley. And you have to go, so her handle is up on top, Dr. Shelley, MD. You have to go follow her because she does a Journey to the Ironman. She's getting ready to do a full Ironman in October 23rd, but she also has a podcast and other things that she does within her work and her community. So please make sure you're following her, and also following I Am Taryn Lamp on YouTube and the Taryn Lamp Show on Apple Podcast. Yeah, I think you have, like I said, I mean, it's just amazing all the things that you can do. You specifically, when I say that, you're doing and still finding time to give back. And I also think that that's important, and wanted to point that out because I think it is important that I think we're put here to serve. So I think it's important that we, in all of this mayhem, make sure that we're this thing called life, right? That we are giving back to our communities, and still, some of this stuff is giving back to us too, is pouring into us too, because even with what you do, you spend a lot of your time pouring into others, I'm sure. So it's so important that you give back to Alicia, right? And say, hey, it's my fitness is worth it, right? My goals are worth it. And then, also in turn, so is my community. So, I think we have came up against time. We're going to have you back on because we have so much. We could have just talked for a gazillion hours. So I have one last question. And so I ask this of every guest. So I don't know if you catch any of my reels or whatever, but everybody always spits nails when I say this, but I'm like the cat lady. I mean, I love it, but somehow I got 2 cats in LA, and then now I have these outside cats where I live. Now it's a whole cat situation. So what the curiosity in the cats. Mm-hmm. So what are you curious about?
What am I curious about? So there's a couple things that I'm curious about. I've gone scuba diving, and before pandemic, I went scuba diving, but I'm curious about possibly getting like not advanced degree, but get an advanced certification. Like, were you able to go deep down and scuba dive and like not be afraid? One of my fears, I don't like swimming on the pool, but one of my fears is actually going down deep in the water. My friend had dropped something in the water, and I was like, oh, it's gonna have to stay there. Like, we're not going to get it. So so the one thing I'm curious about is actually scuba diving in like deep water, where there's sharks, like in the Galapagos Islands, someplace like that, where you need to be more advanced. So I'm really curious that maybe, after I do this Ironman, I may start getting into scuba diving to kind of get, I don't know, just to get better and overcome my fear of being deep in the water. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's just, I just feel like I'm going to drown. I don't know. I'm going to try to overcome that fear.
Yeah, I love, that's important, right? Because I think you'll do that. I mean, I feel like you got to have, 1 or 2 goals. You got a goal on the horizon. And then once you get that under your belt, then you'll, come back and conquer another field. And I think that's good. Like, I try to do things like that too. Like, oh my goodness, I would never do this in a million years. And then I'm like, I need to do it just to get over, I'll call it getting over myself.
Yes, getting over myself.
Like, it's just, I got to get over myself, because I know that, when I put those goals ahead of me, that I can do them. So one last minute, anything that you want to tell people? Where can they find you? How can they get a hold of you? Tell them about your podcast, all that good stuff. Because like I said, some people are going to listen to this later. Some people are just going to listen. So tell us about where they can find you and how they can listen to you.
Yes, definitely. Definitely, you can follow me on my podcast, The Back on Track, Achieving Healthy Weight Loss, where you can listen to that anywhere that you listen to podcasts. Also, feel free to follow me on Instagram at Dr. Shelley MD. I'm also a speaker too, so if you ever need anybody to speak for your event, I'd love to talk about wellness, my Ironman journey. And you can follow me on my Chronicles of Ironman training at my Instagram as well. So I look forward to connecting with you all.
So thank you so much. Brandy, you too. You are inspiring. And thank you. Yes, Dr. Shelley is inspiring. Hey, Stephanie. Dr. Kenny B. I like that. Or DJ. I said doctor. DJ. DJ, doctor. Hey, Stephanie. So, Dr. Shelley, it keeps coming up. Thank you so much for your time. I will definitely have you back on. And yeah, it's so funny because when I see your Instagram and it's like, I've, like I said, ridden 90 miles or whatever's going on. I literally probably a few times have been like, I got to get off her Instagram. She makes me feel like I am not doing it. Diddly squat. You'll be like, I just ran 30 miles. And you'll be all like excited about it. Like, I got to go work out.
Well, first of all, I can't do what you do, Taryn. Like, when you do the bodybuilding, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I could be as svelte and as toned as you. So, we all have our gifts, and you're doing great.
Amazing. I'll be like, get off her page. Get off her page because she's doing the most. Well, I really appreciate it. Just thank you so much. And I'm going to reach out to you in just a second. But everyone, thank you so much. We're definitely going to have Dr. Shelley back on. And you guys heard, and if you didn't hear, then replay this. And she talks to us about her Ironman journey, her professional journey, some obstacles, and just how she stays persistent and consistent. And make sure you're following her on Instagram, checking out her podcast as well. And if you have any questions for her, feel free to funnel those through me, or you can also, I guess, find her directly. And if you're interested in having her speak, please make sure you get a hold of her. Thank you, DJ Kenny B. And everybody, until next time, be good to yourself and each other. And I'll see you next time. This is the Taryn Lamb Show. Bye-bye.